Hello, and welcome to the first video from DesignByTorres.com. My name is Javier Torres, and today I'm going to be taking you through one of my favorite programs called Inkscape. Inkscape is a great graphic design program that can create vector images, and it's very similar to Illustrator, the one difference being that Inkscape is free. You can download Inkscape at inkscape.org or my website at DesignByTorres.com. So today we're going to be talking about the basics of Inkscape and just how to move around and how to create simple shapes. So if you want to take a look, this will be what you see when you open Inkscape. And on the left side, this is what I consider to be the design side. The right side, this first bar here, I consider to be the control side. We're not going to speak on this very right bar here yet, as this is quite advanced, but we may touch on this first button here. In the center, I have some of my main used tools, and on the bottom, this is going to be how you move around in Inkscape itself. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So to move around in Inkscape, you simply use the mouse wheel up and down. We'll move you vertically. And if you hold shift from this point, that will move you horizontally. And still using the mouse wheel, if you use control, that is going to zoom you in and zoom you out. So these three tools will help you move around very quickly and makes work very easy. Another one is going to be the spacebar, and as soon as you hit the spacebar, it's going to create a grabbing tool. You don't need to click the mouse itself, you just need to move it, and as soon as you hit the spacebar, it'll start grabbing the document. Here we have a lot of basic tools that you'll see: new document, open, save, print, undo, redo, copy, paste, those kinds of things. One thing I do want to touch on here is the import, Control I. It's just how you can import any picture. It's going to open up the last folder you had opened. And simply import that. Those are fine. And there you go. You brought an image into Inkscape. To save an image as a PNG is going to be the next one. Shift, Control, and E. Bring out this bar here. And for this image, you want to have it on selection. That will be your selection box here. You can also choose page or drawing, but we'll talk about those shortly. To export as, this is going to be where you select your folder where you want to save it and the name itself. And just so you know, clicking save here is just saving the file name and where you want it to go. It's not actually saving the file. To save the file and finalize it, go ahead and click export. That will save the file. And we can check on that by opening it again. And there it is. And now we've opened that PNG file that we saved. And next is going to be the zoom function. So here we have 3, which is going to zoom in on the selection, 4, which is going to zoom in on the drawing, and 5, which zooms in on the page. So again, our selection is going to be that box there. And if you click 3, it's going to zoom in on that selection box. If you have a larger amount of objects selected and hit 3, it's going to bring up that whole selection box and keep those in a view. And next we have 4, which is the drawing. Now the drawing is going to be all of your objects on this document itself. So you could have something way over here and it'll still capture it when you hit 4. It's going to bring that up to full screen and keep all your objects in place. So again, that's going to be your drawing. It's going to be everything in the document. And lastly, we have 5, which is going to be your page, and you'll be able to see this here. That'll bring up the page. Again, we'll just go ahead and zoom in on that page, and you have it there at 100%. The last thing I want to talk to you about is 1 and 2. There's going to be a 1:1 ratio and a 1:2 ratio. These are just going to be an easy way to zoom in and out on whatever you have selected or zoomed in. Here again, selection, zoomed, and 1 and 2. Just an easy way to zoom in and out. Okay, so next we have duplicating and cloning. Duplicating, go ahead and copy and paste this one here. Duplicating is simply copy and pasting in one step and adding it on top of the original image. So as you can see, I copy here, and if I move the mouse I can paste over there. But if you want to duplicate something, you're going to go ahead and click Control and D, and no matter where your mouse is, it's going to place it right on top of that original object. So that's an easy way to add on top of things, or a lot of times for graphics you're going to want multiple colors and multiple layers, and that way you can work that up pretty easily. Next is going to be the clone, and that will be Alt and D. Alt and D is the same as duplicate, except the clone here is linked to the original and will follow whatever manipulation you put on this. So as you can see, I'm going to rotate the original image here, and the clone is going to follow that. So it'll just follow that shape, and whatever you do to that object, it's going to follow. And to remove this clone, you're simply going to hit Shift, Alt, and D. And next up we have grouping and ungrouping, which you will probably be using quite a bit. Okay, so grouping is going to be Control and G. That's going to be how you can group any two items together or multiples of items together. And the important thing here is the order of how you group them together. As you can see, I did one action and grouped two together, and I could do another action and group the last one together. Now they're one object, and if I wanted to ungroup these items, I simply hit Control, Shift, and G, and you can see it took away that last action, because now these two are still together. And I can ungroup those again, and now it'll ungroup that first action that I did. And you can see the difference here. I'll put these all together, and I'll group them at once. Now we have one object, and if I ungroup them once, they will all come apart because it was all one act of grouping. And in this case here, I'm going to start talking about layers, which is very important. It works the same as any Photoshop or Illustrator. It's very easy to add a layer. You can move the layers up and down. You can change the opacity of the layer itself. Here, I'll show you with layer 1. And this one's going to be layer 2. So it is very easy, and to move items to another layer, you simply select them, right click, and go to move to layer. And then you can move that to layer 3 if you like. And layer 3, we can lock that. Same as layer 2. Not able to select anything from those layers except layer 1. And you could get them out of view, whatever you like to do. But it makes things very easy and organized. Align and distribute. It's going to be Shift, Control, and A. And here, if we have multiple items, we'll start with 3. How about that? Aligning is how whatever object you have selected is relative to another object. And here I have it as last selected. So this one will be relative to this and will align to this. So here I can select that. This is my last selected. And I can go to center it to the same center line. And it's going to bring it up on that same center line. Same here, I can do that to either one of these since they're on the same center line now. And now I see there's a difference in space between them, and that's going to be the distribute. So here we have horizontal and vertical. They're the same. Each one is top or bottom is the same. They're just horizontal or vertical. And here I'm going to choose to have similar space in between each object. You can also do similar space to the centers of each object, which in this case is going to be the same. But in some designs will offer differences, so check those out and see what you like. But that's an easy way to align and distribute things, and once you have these, I would group them. And you might make a bunch more, but you also want to align those to this. So we'll go ahead and center those. And we'll add some space in here too. And again, we're going to equal the distance between these objects. And there you go. And if I wanted to, you could line these up so they sit a little better and look a little more uniform. And then I'd simply copy those and take that along and finish a pattern.